All right, Seth Harris, Friendswood High School, Friendswood, Texas. We're halfway between Houston, Galveston, 5A High School. We spent some time in 6A. Excited to get to talk to y'all today about our pulling run game. This has been something some years where we're super heavy into this. There's been other years where we've been primarily a throwing team like we were last year. But in our run game, we really believe in this stuff. We think we do some stuff kind of in a unique way. And hopefully going through this, you pick up something, one or two things that you like. I'm going to share my contact info with you. If there's anything you like and you want this presentation, I can send it to you on Huddle. I've also got Twitter, Coach Seth Harris, and you can email me at Coach Seth A. Harris at gmail.com, and I'm willing to answer any questions you have about anything. If you like anything you saw or wondered about a technique or want some more information, I've got a couple clips of each concept I'm going to talk about today, but I've got more good and bad of everything on here, and we can talk and share a little bit more as necessary. So the first thing I want to talk about is counter. When I'm talking counter, for us, GT, a little bit of GF, counter stuff, and we do it many different ways. And we're pretty excited each year about the way we do it. And there's a couple things we do a little different that I think for a high school football team gives us a lot of success. And the thing we do a little bit differently is our play side tackles rule is B gap extended. He's not going to the backside backer like most teams that run counter. We're going to kick out the first guy past the tackle. So if we get, especially in an odd front where that defensive end wants to slant across the face, we're going to lock and wall down. And now we're kicking out. And the skip pulling backside tackle is now the alley runner. He's going to spot check this backside backer to see if he's an underneath trigger guy. If he's not, which we don't see a ton, then he's going to run the alley. He might end up on the play side backer. He might end up on a safety. We've had it happened different ways, and I've got a few different clips of that happening in different ways like that. We're blocking back. If this was an even front, we'd block down the no shade, block back on the 3, and then we would account for the defensive end either by reading him or by having a tight end attached, and we'd be kind of going across the face. Then I don't really think you can do that same side. We'll kind of talk about all of these as we go through the different clips. And so the first one we're going to go through is same side, GT. You're going to notice the play side tackle here is the left tackle. He's going to sift up to the B gap. The defensive end squeezes but doesn't really go across his face, so he's going to continue all the way on to the backer. The technique for the kick out guy is he's going to open pull, pick out the inside shoulder. We will skip pull on any second level pull. We will open pull on any first level pull. So we're down on the kick out now. Our receiver's doing a good job blocking here, so that becomes bonus for us. The tackle kind of gets caught up. I'd love him to kind of look for 45 back here, but we get bodies on bodies, and that's the reason we believe in this stuff so much, is getting bodies on bodies and then letting your skill guys make something happen. This was early in the first game of the season, I believe the first drive, and so it really set the tone for that game, made a big difference. Some of these are going to have end zones, some of these won't. This is versus a stack look several years ago, but the principles basically stay the same on what we're trying to do. We're still trying to kick out the first guy past the tackle. We're still trying to lock on. Right now, you'll see from the end zone a little better. The play side tackle knows off the bat that this edge player, the end, is inside shoulder of him. So he's communicating that down to the rest of the guys. So now this kick out guard thinks there's a great chance I'm ending up with something, a backer off the edge. This guy, and you're going to notice here, he kind of misses his fill on the inside backer, but it ends up being okay because we end up running the alley. This guy trips, and sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes being lucky better than being good. We get the wash. We're going to get the kick out. Now we're running the alley. Good job by the receiver there. Scoring a touchdown. Life is good. We also run across the face GT. The blocking is not going to be any different up front. The linemen know it's different just simply because the play title is different, although it's all kind of tied in similarly. They're themed the same idea. We like this, like I mentioned in the intro, because you can read the backside end and run this out of 4 wides without having to do it versus even fronts. Here, even the quarterback versus this odd front with his backer showing the pressure, he's even thinking about, can he pull it here? We RPO off of this a little bit. We might do more of that here in the future, but it's not been something we've majored in. So you're going to see 63, the play side end, already inside tackle. Sophomore tackle does a good job watching. I would have loved to have seen the pulling guard here log block this inside backer. He gets kind of lost in space, and unfortunately for them, we out leveraged them. Our play side tackle, our pulling tackle here, would have liked all of this to have hit a little more inside. We get this block. I would have loved to have seen the tackle now run through this space and the back follow, and we stretch it a little wide. But all things considered, that's a first-round playoff gain and a big gain. Towards the end of the game, too, where we're trying to run the clock out a little bit. This is versus Texas City. They kind of lined up in a unique manner. We've played those guys a billion times. They know what we like to do. So I think they were trying to cause some disruptions with our pulls. And they did, for the most part, actually a good job. When I was looking through clips, there's not a ton from this game where we did well. This happens to be one of them. However, though, we're going to get a good wash down on this play side in. So now the edge is the set. The receivers are doing a great job. So the first guy past the tackle now, which is our rule, is now going to be this backer falling. This is going to be the same kid here. This is going to be a different kid here logging. That's a good way turning his shoulders. And so now everyone is sealed. The pulling tackle, now is having a good job to run through. He's extra. You get a little bit more from the receivers on the edge. This might have been an even bigger play, but we'll take the gain. And go, here it is from the end zone. You can kind of see the structure of the defense is unique here. But a good job on the wash, a good job on the log, and ends up being a good gain for us. GF, we do this in several different ways. We really like doing it out of empty. I want to show you a couple traditional ways out of fullback, and I'll show you one empty. We've jet motioned our empty. Also, it's one of our bread and butter Wildcat quarterback plays, but I don't have that currently. The blocking scheme up front is the same for everybody but the backside tackle. Since it's GF and he knows it's GF, he's now the end player. He has the edge. Everything else stays the same, though. We're still B gap extended on this side, and we are still kicking out the first guy past the tackle. The fullback, H-back, whatever he may be lined up, is taking the same exact rule that the tackle had in our other counters. He's checking the backside backer, and then he's going to run the alley. Another thing I need to mention here versus even fronts, if you get a 3 to the play side, the B gap extended will now turn into a combo, and we'll combo these two up to the play side backer. If you can get a good combo, it's really great because now they're cut up, and it's really difficult for this backside backer unless he's a stud and really triggers underneath to make the play. And so we end up with a free runner a lot of times when we do run it to the strong side. This backside backer is going to really buy into the counter steps. Does not play this very well, but we get a great combo off square shoulders. We get 2 for 2, and now we get a big gain here. Same thing later that drive. Actually, this is a scrimmage from several years ago now, but we get the good combo, square shoulders, 2 for 1. The backside backer plays it a little bit better this time, but like I was mentioning, he gets caught up in trash. And I think you can account for that in high school football more often than not. That's something you need to do in your self-scout is how does this backside backer play counter? How often is he going to trigger underneath? I know we've played some kids. There's a kid from Texas City a few years ago that ended up playing Texas Tech who was phenomenal at it. And so we really knew we needed to check that, and it was not as good of a play for us. We had to have some different answers to what we were going to do there. Free run, we're in good shape there. This is one of my favorite ways we've done this. We're going to go from empty here, but I like this one because we really majored in this play this year. But I want to give you a variation we did here where we started the fullback actually in the backfield. We're going to hop to empty, but we were doing based on the best side to kick out. And so the quarterback's looking at the defensive structure here and deciding where we want to go. And so they've got this reduced side over here with the edge. This does not look as friendly to kick out. We got a pretty loose 5 over here. And so he's going to hop the back opposite of the way we run our one counter. And so we want to run counter left. So he's going to hop the back to the right. There's no shift. And now we're going to do the same exact rules we've done. We get a little influence here from the play side tackle. We get to the B-gap backer. This guy ends up squeezing. 72 here had a good feel for when to log block this year. It's not his best log block, actually, but we get enough piece there that we kind of get through. He's got plenty of clips where he did this better. We really want to see him work on that upfield shoulder and finish instead of kind of hopping here. But the fullback being the free runner, what helps with him being the free runner is he can basically kind of pick up trash here of this and then be a third level guy a lot of times here. And then, of course, number 2 was a special kid. He ended up playing receiver at SMU. So that makes a big difference in anything you're doing when you've got that going on for you. One thing we'll do, too, is we'll cheat splits when we can, especially versus these kind of odd fronts. They'd kind of shown a stack earlier in the year, and so versus stacks, we especially like to do it. But we really widened this tackle, and he really got to where he loved it, where he lined up damn near at the numbers if we let him. And so we've now increased this edge out there in a very significant way. So now there's a lot of room to run here. Even though he squeezes, he's got a long way to go to squeeze. All right, one thing we really love that we don't see a ton of other teams do that we are really into is running GT to the tight end. We really love it versus odd fronts because you get an outside backer as the edge player. And our theory is that it's hard to find high school outside linebackers that are good enough to cover your slot receiver and take on your guard. And every once in a while you run into those guys, but week in and week out, those guys are usually good at one or the other. So here we go. This is Foster. This is a really good team here. But we're going to run GT here. We're going to combo the player here up to the backer, then kick out the edge here. So now the rule on this play goes from kicking out the first guy past the tackle to we're kicking out the first guy past the tight end. And the structure of it basically falls down the same. So now, much like if we had a 3 to the counter side, now that we have the player kind of in a 5 here, 6, whatever, 7, we're going to combo up. We do not get a great combo here, and the edge squeezes, but we get bodies on bodies. And so that to me is what this play can do, because even though we're not kicking anyone's ass here, we don't get much movement on the combo. We've squeezed. They've basically fit this the way they would like to, and it dang near turns into a kind of a buck sweep concept. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But if you can get bodies on bodies in these things, it doesn't have to be perfect, because everyone's accounted for. And that's the way we do it, and the way we like it is we understand as a staff, we understand as players what we're trying to do. We're trying to combo to here, we're trying to kick out here. And if they take themselves out of the play in the process, then we are more than willing to let them do that. Understanding the concept of what you're doing, whatever it is, if you're a gap guy, if you're a pull guy, if you're a zone guy, whatever it may be, we can get caught in semantics as coaches a lot of times. But as long as you really understand what you're doing and your kids understand what you're doing, I think you're in good shape, whatever it is that you're doing. This is much more of a traditional look here, how we want this to look. We're going to get a great combo on the end. We pick up the inside backer. We kick out the edge. And now we got the tackle as a free runner. The center not doing a great job being flat going back there to the edge player on the backside, but fortunately those guys don't often make that play. Good kick out running. And so now we are the backside backer, both the backside backer at about 5 yards, which is a good thing. I believe we do have an end zone here as well. This combo block cannot be square enough here. It's a huge thing for us that we need to improve on for this upcoming season. There's been years we've done it great, years we've not done it great. This is an example of a good one. And so when we're meeting here with our kids during kind of our quarantine time. This is an example of showing, we can do this. And you don't have to kill the guy here. We got enough bodies, and he came to us. And if there's nothing else you take from how we're trying to do things, it's bodies on bodies. So counter lock, this is another thing that we think is a little unique to what we're doing. Here, the play side tackle is going to lock on the defensive end no matter what. And so sometimes you're going to get a look and you probably can't tell we're running counter lock. It just looks like our normal counter rules because he's across the face and we're locked on. We're kicking out the edge player. But the difference here is if you get a wide guy and he becomes the edge player, we're going to invite him through. And basically it becomes dart, but with two pullers. And this is an example here to start off with of them widening. Actually, I got a wrong clip here on this word. This is mislabeled. So that actually is dart. So I'm going to skip this here. But here's an example. This is with the quarterback keeping it. But this edge player is going to extend through. And now we're kind of just filling the void of where he was. So instead of kicking that guy out, the concept is the same. And our linebacker coach does a good job talking about this, about how run concepts are all fairly similar. So the concept of counter is you've got a kick out guy and you've got your pullers coming. Me, this is basically the same thing. That's why it's in our counter family, even though it has some dart characteristics to it. Galveston kind of gets sucked up here a little bit. And those guys are looking inside now. As they get around, they realize they're looking inside. We got our logs. We're trying to find bodies. And for us, the quarterback versions of this have been really good too because you get the natural misdirection of the back going across the face. If we do this versus any type of front, let's say we do it an even front with no tight end, we feel like we can still run it with the back now being the fill guy. This time it's not as important because we're doing this away from a tight end. And so he's a little bit more window dressing. But your idea is just to get a little bit of the backers off. You see a good job by the play side tackle widening. Play side guard is going to do a good job sealing because they kind of got a move put on them there. Same thing here. This is going to look more traditional because the guy went across the face. So this is basically indistinguishable now from our across the face GT. But we called it our counter lock. And so we just have to kind of read it at the line and do it. We get the kick out, we get the seal. Life is good. One more time on this, I believe. We're going away from a tight end again here. We've called counter lock, but the edge is going to basically squeeze. He plays it a little bit head up, and now we're going to get outside of it. Now we're looking for people to kick out and to wrap on. Big gain there. So he's head up, so he's thinking there's a two-way go here. Is he going to try to play me outside? Is he trying to play me inside? He basically plays it straight up, and so we're just going to basically try to stalemate there. What we don't want, the coaching point here is you don't want this guy getting pushed back into your pullers. This kid had a really good feel. This pulling guard had a really good feel for doing it, and he was very physically talented. I'm telling him to look to be the kick-out guy. I'm telling this guy to look for the play side as it goes. When we get bodies on bodies, I do have one more here. Same idea. I added this one in because this is a good job from our pulling tackle here, recognizing we do finally get a trigger from these backside backer. He's going to try to find underneath. Foster, an extremely well-coached team. And we had been running the mess out of counter that year. So he recognizes it early on. But our tackle does a good job here basically just stopping and inserting himself. Get the body on the body. This is not a kill shot by any means, but we've put a body on a body. That is a bit more of a kill shot there. He gets cut. But it's a big gain there versus a team that ended up playing for the regional championship. And we were in this game and unfortunately couldn't quite pull it off. All right, Dart. Dart, not a lot different for us than what you're going to see from most people in Dart. This has been a really good run play for us the years we've thrown the ball well. I think it pairs well with your throwing game. Even front here, we're going to read the backside defensive end. If we're odd, we'd be blocking back to him and not having to read it. And we do a few different things here to get to this backside backer. We can go straight with the center and then down with the play side guard. We've done wraps before where we're going to kind of reverse fold this. We're going to block down. loop around to the backside. We can combo it, backside combo it. We have a term for our backside combo, and that's that skip pull to the inside backer like everyone else does. We do give this tackle some free reign. They want to pass at that guy and invite him upfield as much possible and then go. We've had some tackles that really feel comfortable pass setting that guy. We've had some a little bit more timid. We are going to tell the guy versus an odd front that if the end slants across the face, we're going to lock on, and the puller needs to know to loop around that. Similar concepts to our counter in that regard. This is versus Pearland Dawson in the first round of the playoffs a few years ago. You're going to see our little fold block here to the backside backer, like I mentioned. A great job by the play side tackle to widen that end across, really work that inside shoulder. Don't let him back across your face. Understand the concept of where you're trying to go. And our puller here, we're telling him to expect a good varsity linebacker to step up into B gap, and you're going to have to almost kick him out like it's a counter. He does here. He gets on the inside shoulder, and this is the first offensive play of the game. Dawson's been a huge rival of ours for many years, and we were lucky enough to win the playoff game that night. I really thought that this run early on kind of set the tone for that game. Here it is from this year, Texas City again. So this is an example of the play side tackle going to go across the face with them. So we're not going to try to be stubborn and say this is a B gap play. We're running into B gap if this end's going to slant across the face and occupy B gap. So we're now going around that, and we still end up with the play side backer here like we would, but we've hit it in a way that's more natural and it kind of flows together. And it's something that I think you got to rep and practice a lot. I think when you script your inside hole, you need to give them not just the looks you want, but also some of those looks you don't want. Unfortunately, we fumbled this one, but the blocking points remain the same here. This is a quarterback. Is this the quarterback version of? Yes, I believe so. Going across the face. Actually, that's the next one here versus the same team. But we're going to motion across here just to add some window dressing to it. We get a good job here on our fold block to the backside and a good insert from the pulling tackle. Good gain. Same idea here. This is a good example. This one's in here for an example of getting to the backer. Now, normally we want to go to the backside backer here, but as he flashes, this is a little different when you have a mic. And so normally we want to go to the backside backer, but it's not realistic to really think we're going to have to intersect this guy all the way back here. He's nearly out of the box to this side. So versus a true mic, what we'll do is we will now send this guy to the mic, and we're going to kick out the outside backer. He's out of the frame right now, but he's going to quickly fill in as he realizes what's going on, and that becomes our kick out guy. We try to tell our guys they're going to end up in the spots. You know, there's not a team we play that's not going to have every gap accounted for. And so how are we going to scheme that up is my job and our head coach, who's coached offensive line forever, their job on Sunday, and it's our job to tell the kids on Monday and have them know by Friday night how they're going to fit everything that we want to do. This is the quarterback one I mentioned. We've done this away from jet sweep, and we're going to go stagnant here. Here's that special kid, the number 2, Tyler Page, who's at SMU again. Another good example of our fold block to the mic here. This is versus a stack front. A good widening, and then we're going to have this kid was just a great high school football player. He doesn't get anyone on this one, but he was a very active puller, was really into it, and really whacked some guys. But this is, a really good way. We're going to kind of get this token here to try to get some attention here with the fake of the bubble here from our wing. All right, Buck, we're not a huge buck sweep team, and, buck sweep can be controversial on what you call buck sweep and not buck sweep. And so you can send me an angry email if this isn't truly buck sweep to you. This one's drawn up the trips. I believe the clip I have, we're actually going away from the trips, which is the way I like it better. And so since it's something we don't major in, one, we don't have a lot of clips versus it, but two, we kind of do it more in a special situation deal. And so I like to do it versus teams that we see a lot down here that plus over their safety to the trip side and play 4-3 and take the backer and try to drop him backside. And the clip we have of that is this. It's also good versus this look. He's actually not plussed over, but the end here, we want him in a 4. We found that for us, that guy's in the Y5. We're going to try to cut him, but we've not had a ton of success doing that. This night, away from trips, we like the look. He was compressed down. This backer on this side ended up at Texas A&M, so we were trying to avoid at all costs doing anything over to him. And 15 was just not, quite that kid. Not to disparage him, but he just wasn't as good as 21. So we were trying to pick on him a little bit. Our coaching points here is we're trying to seal the edge. The play side guard is the kick out guy. Inside shoulder, same idea. And then the backside guard is going to check to see if this backer fills it inside. If not, he's going to run the alley. Since we're going same side here, it gives us another same side deal here to do on the toss. And we get bodies on bodies in the same way. It's not something we've been great at. And I know there's tons of people that run buck sweep better, or might even say this is not quite truly what their vision of it is. But we were part of our idea behind any of this is, what are your biggest assets and how can you use them in the best way? And so 54 here has been in several of these clips, was a really good dynamic puller. He was fast and he was physical and strong. And so, how can we get him pulling in different directions? And so much of our stuff was him pulling across the formation. So how can we get him pulling to the same side? And so this is something that we did this year, particularly a lot more than we did, say, this most recent season or even seasons besides that. So this is one of my favorite concepts we have, and I'm calling it buck choice for a lack of a better term. And, without it being both guards, maybe it's not truly buck, but the idea here is the play side defensive end is going to decide what he can do with the edge player. If the edge player is tight enough to him that he thinks he can hook him, he's making a call that's going to go down the line. And now we know that we're going to hook the edge. The puller now is looking for anything extra off here, and the H-back is the alley runner. If this end sets wide, the edge player is wider than he thinks he can hook, we're basically going to call counter now. And now our counter rules to the tight end are going to apply. Where we're going to combo to the play side, we're comboing to the play side, we're root blocking here, and we're off. And so we like this. Years we've ran the ball a lot because, in theory, we're going to be in the best play no matter what they're lined up in. Here, this guy's pretty tight, and so he thinks, okay, I can hook this guy. Let's get this thing outside. The thing we do wrong here is he needs to be going to this play side backer. Instead, he goes to the backside backer, and thankfully for us, the play side backer kind of gets cut up here. But now, especially from this formation, this is trips tight. You get a lot of different ways teams are going to do this, and we end up a lot of times getting guards on corners or a safety coming down, and they're just, even if we don't get a great block here on this guy, but he's trying to avoid it, and so it ends up being a huge gain for us because he was trying to get out of the way. Same thing here where he's decided, I think I can hook this guy. We fit the backers better here and kind of get a dog pile. Our guard does a good job getting through, but the coaching point here is, even though we've called that we're locking this and we think we're going outside, they knew that now he's not succeeded in doing that, but now we have room to go underneath all of this. So now we're underneath, we're between, and this fit the same way. Because like I said earlier, there's going to be people in every gaps no matter what you're doing. And then number 2 was special, so it made everything look better. But this ends up opening wide. So, George Ranch did a great job trying to defend this in a different way. We actually developed it because we didn't have the option in it when we ran it one year versus George Ranch, and we really struggled with it. And so we added the option to do it versus them. And now they're widening on us, but we do a good job with those guys inserting in anyways. Here versus Clear Lake, we decided this guy's too wide. He's inside, so now we're going to combo up that there's no way we can hook 7, so now we're going to try to kick out 7. Number 4 caused us a lot of problems here. He D1 type kid, not sure where he ended up. I believe he moved to Florida to IMG Academy his senior year, so I kind of lost track of him a little bit, but obviously not ideal for him to get into the backfield so much. We hold on just enough to get lucky to get through there, but I wanted to show you the idea there of the kick out. We're not huge power read people. We have been in the past. So a couple of these clips are pretty old, but I just wanted to show that it was kind of a part of what we've done. Empty jet motion was the way we originally got in the business. The first clip, or one of the first clip here, is all the way back from 2010. There's a clip from 2012 on here. That's when we really did it a lot. And one thing I don't have a clip of, and I wish I did, was off this same look. Instead of reading this, we would actually kick out with the guard here, and we'd combo to the play side. And so if you want some stuff on that, you can shoot me an email. I'll try to get you some info on that, because we found, we were calling power read a bunch because we wanted the quarterback to keep it, and they weren't letting us do it the year we did it. So here's the olden clip, and you can really tell how old it is. These referees in white pants make everything look ancient now. And so off the jet sweep, try to get some flow. Normal power rules that everyone has. We're down a gap, everyone from the play side tackle to the center, or skip pull to the B gap linebacker, root block on the backside. Around, and this, this was not one of our more dynamic quarterbacks. You can see he's going to get ran down here, but it's a good play to get bodies on people. It was a good change. We hadn't showed a ton of this year at all in 2010. This was the third round of the playoffs, but this was a big play for us in that game. Here's 2012, the year we ran it a lot more, and this isn't even actually the best example of the blocking. I just added it in because I have such a sweet spot. But this kid ended up playing baseball at BYU for several years, and he was a really dynamic quarterback. So this run's worth watching as much as anything, because actually this is our running back in empty at the wing. He should not be cutting this guy. In theory, he's the read now because he's the first guy past the tackle since they're compressed so much in here. But it ends up being actually a pretty sweet play, because now we get the insert and the extra guy kind of kicked out, almost like true power quarterback. And then number 8, Jordan Wood, just kind of ran around. So this was versus Rosenberg Terry. They were really talented that year. We ended up beating them at the very end. They were number 6 in the state or so. I believe it was before George Ranch opened. Here's a look where we're actually going to hand it off. This is a Wildcat look from the 2018 season. So this is a receiver in now at quarterback. And so we're going to actually see the handoff. We don't love, and you're going to see some tripping here by our guard. We don't love handing it off. This is an example of a good one. We traditionally don't have great jet sweep runners. I think it's a great play to run kind of as a base play if you have great jet sweep runners. For us, since we haven't had a lot of great jet sweep runners, teams were just always taking the quarterback and Mason his hand on the jet sweep and figured they could rally to it. Here's from the end zone. Good read. Wish we didn't trip. All right, so this is power read, but we're going to go from a fullback. This is versus Dawson, a different playoff game. This is NRG Stadium, one of my favorite games we had. We're going to shift over here, but it's power, and it's going to look like it's traditional power, but instead we're going to bypass the edge here, the end here. They're trying to cut us here to cut off our pulls, and our guard does a good job being athletic and getting through here. But the concept is it's power read, but now from a fullback, we have the shuffle for a dynamic part. The back here even gets involved in keeping it. And so our thought process between this was the number 2 kid was special. Everyone in the stadium, including their defensive staff, especially their defensive staff, knows this kid's going to keep it. How can we do it in 20 different ways to do it? Because when you have a kid you want to run 30, 40 times a game in the quarterback position, and everyone knows he's keeping it, you got to have different ways to do it to make it look unique. And you're just trying to fool the kids for a second. The coaches might know what's coming, but you really got to fool the kids for a second. This was a huge touchdown late in that game. This is just to show you a different way we did it. We did this very rarely, so I didn't have even a great clip on this, but I wanted to be sure to include the idea of it. It's going to be power read, but basically kind of an inverted look for it. So normally when we do power read, like I showed you from empty, the idea is the quarterback's the inside guy, the back is the outside guy. This is inverted to where the back would be the inside guy, the quarterback is the outside guy. Kind of a a veerish look, obviously. We get cut here, so things get a little bit cloudy. This receiver should be going to number 10 here, so there's a few things wrong. But as a concept, I like this play, so I wanted to be sure I included it. And then I've got two clips of this is not something we do much or well, but just traditional two-back power, kick out the end. I did find a good clip of it, so wanted to feel like a real coach showing power. And so that's that. Friendswood Pulling Run Game. Once again, there's my contact info. At Coach Seth Harris on Twitter, Coach Seth A. Harris at gmail.com. I kind of threw a lot out there. And so, my idea I heard from a coach years ago is any clinic you do, any professional development type things, hopefully get one thing from it. So maybe there was one thing you got from this. I hope you did. If you have more questions, be sure to follow up. I like to share. I like to talk offensive line, and I like to learn about different ways to do things. And so if you want to call me stupid about something I did, feel free to do that too. You won't be the first person. So, and thanks, Coach, for having me on. I really appreciate it.